Chapter 91, Subduing the Fire Snake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Xiao Ling's inquiry, Qinglin nodded and looked at Xiao Ling. Don't worry, young master, although it's a bit reluctant, it shouldn't be a big problem to subdue this big guy. After touching Qinglin's little head, Xiao Ling warned with some concern, don't force yourself. If you feel uncomfortable, remember to stop immediately. Hearing Xiao Ling's concern, Qinglin's heart warmed. Master, I will pay attention. As soon as he finished speaking, Qinglin walked up to the dying two-headed fire spirit snake. Seeing a weak human being coming in front of him, the two-headed fire spirit snake's eyes were filled with fierceness, and he planned to step forward and give Qinglin a bite. The eyes on the other head suddenly noticed Xiao Ling's dangerous look, and felt that his whole body was oppressed by a strange force, unable to move at all. His momentum suddenly weakened, and his eyes changed from fierce to frightened. Qinglin stared into the eyes of the two-headed fire spirit snake. With a thought, 3 small green dots suddenly appeared next to her green pupils. As this strange green flower emerged, a strong light suddenly shot out from it, illuminating the fire spirit snake in front of it. When illuminated by this strange light, the huge body of the fire spirit snake suddenly stiffened, and its 2 pairs of giant eyes stared at the little girl in front of him with a hint of fear. Feeling that his consciousness was being controlled, he inexplicably wanted to surrender to the human girl in front of him. The two-headed fire spirit snake immediately wanted to resist and twisted its huge body desperately. Unfortunately, Xiao Ling had the released soul power suppressed it, and its resistance was destined to be ineffective. The strange light moved slowly over the body of the fire spirit snake, and finally stopped in the center of the foreheads of the 2 snake heads. When the ghost light stopped moving, it began to slowly shrink. As the scope of the ghost light became smaller and smaller, the light contained in it became more and more abundant. The scope of the dim light became smaller and smaller, and in the end, it was only about the size of a palm. When the dim light shrank to this area, the scenery stopped and continued to shrink. With a burst of dim light, the 2 small green flowers were engraved on the 2 heads of the fire spirit snake. When the flowers appeared, the dim light began to gradually disappear. After a while, the tiny flowers in the blue eyes quickly disappeared, and in just an instant, they returned to their previous green color. After his pupils returned to normal, Qinglin's body shook for a while, and he felt a dizziness in his head, and he was completely unable to use all his strength. Xiao Ling, who was standing aside, saw this scene and hugged Qinglin into his arms. With a flash of white light in his right hand, he took out the healing elixir and stuffed it into Qinglin's small mouth. Qinglin, how are you feeling? Xiao Ling asked with concern. After swallowing the pill, Qinglin also regained some strength and his mind became much clearer. He leaned in Xiao Ling's arms and said weakly, Master, Qinglin is fine, he just consumed too much soul power. Ziyan on the side stepped forward and became concerned about Qinglin's situation. Ziyan still liked this little sister whom she had known for a few days. Although this is not the first time I have seen Qinglin subdue a snake-like monster, it is still a bit unbelievable. Now that he is not even a fighter, he can subdue a 4th-level monster that is comparable to a human fighting spirit. Looking at Qinglin in Xiao Ling's arms, Ziyan sounded a little emotional. Xiao Ling, what kind of magical beast is this little snake that can survive in the underground magma? Ziyan looked at Xiao Ling, her face full of doubts. The 2-headed fire spirit snake usually grows in extremely hot places and lives by swallowing magma. It has a huge room for evolution. When it is born, it is only a 1st-level monster. If there are enough opportunities, it may be able to evolve into a powerful warrior comparable to the Doupo. The 6th-level monster now lives in this underground magma world, which is indeed the most suitable place for it to survive. Xiao Ling stared at the 2-headed fire snake with calm eyes. The 2-headed fire spirit snake not far away curled up its body and stared directly at Qinglin lying in Xiao Ling's arms. Those 2 pairs of dark eyes will become softer when they look at Qinglin, although it witnessed everything that happened just now and knew that its changes were due to being controlled by Qinglin's pair of green snake and 3-flowered eyes. But whenever it wanted to be malicious towards Qinglin, this thought would come up inexplicably. Disappeared, but wanted to express closeness to her. after a while, Qinglin's body gradually returned to normal, and he no longer felt much discomfort. Noticing the sight of the two-headed fire spirit snake, Qinglin turned his head and looked sideways, seeing it looking at him with gentle eyes and a knowing smile. Seeing this scene, Xiaoling put down the green scale in her arms and motioned for her to communicate with the two-headed fire spirit snake. Nodding, Qinglin waved to the two-headed fire spirit snake, "Come here quickly." Hearing Qinglin's call, the two-headed fire spirit snake also twisted its body and came to Qinglin, rubbing its two heads against Qinglin's face to show its closeness. Xiaoling, who was on the side, saw this scene and walked up to the two-headed fire snake. The two-headed fire spirit snake thought that Xiaoling wanted to do something to him, so he twisted his body and tried to escape back into the magma. However, at Qinglin's signal, he stopped trying to escape and looked at Xiaoling with somewhat horrified eyes. Pouring his lips, Xiaoling felt speechless. He took out a healing elixir from the ring and handed it to the two-headed fire spirit snake. "You have been subdued by Qinglin, and I will not harm you. This is a healing elixir. Recover from your injuries quickly. I will need you to lead the way later." Looking at the elixir handed to him, the double-headed fire spirit snake smelled the fragrance of the medicine and felt that the burning injuries on his body were somewhat cooled down. After taking a look at Qinglin's doting eyes next to him, the two-headed fire spirit snake stretched out its head and swallowed the healing elixir in Xiaoling's hand. As soon as the elixir was taken into the mouth, it turned into a cool energy that spread throughout the body. The injuries of the two-headed fire spirit snake gradually improved. The scars on the body surface also gradually began to heal, and soon they were back to their original state. Some of the hidden wounds in the body have been healed. After feeling the changes in his body, the two-headed fire spirit snake looked at Xiaoling no longer as frightened as before. "Although this guy just beat me up, seeing that he is my little master's companion and he treated my injuries, I won't argue with him this time." After seeing that the two-headed fire spirit snake had recovered from its injuries, Xiaoling couldn't wait to ask Qinglin. "Qinglin, can you communicate with this little snake and ask it if it knows where the strange fire is? If it knows, let this guy take me there." Upon hearing Xiaoling's inquiry, Qinglin nodded obediently, looking at the two-headed fire spirit snake and communicating with it. Chapter 92 Searching for Strange Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a while, Qinglin's face showed a look of joy. "Master, it said it knows where the strange fire is." Qinglin pointed at the two-headed fire snake in front of him and smiled at Xiaoling as if he was taking credit. "In that case, let this guy take me down and take out the strange fire." Xiaoling looked at the two-headed fire spirit snake and nodded with satisfaction. Qinglin and Ziyan both looked shocked when they heard this. "Xiaoling, are you going to dive directly into the magma to find the strange fire? Isn't it too dangerous?" Ziyan stared at Xiaoling, her eyes full of worry. Qinglin on the side also nodded in agreement. Although he felt that Xiaoling was very powerful, it was still too dangerous to break into the lava of the cave directly. Waving his hand, Xiaoling showed a confident smile, looked at Qinglin and Ziyan, and said with a relaxed face, "Don't worry, there is a strange fire in my body, and the magma can't hurt me. Qinglin, let this guy take me down." After listening to Xiaoling's explanation, Qinglin also nodded. In that case, the young master must pay attention to safety. After saying that, Qinglin closed his green eyes and mentally conveyed the order to the two-headed fire spirit snake to take Xiaoling to find the strange fire. After receiving Qinglin's order, a hint of reluctance clearly flashed in the fire spirit snake's huge eyes. Although it relied on devouring flames to improve its cultivation, the power of the strange fire was too powerful. If it got close, it would also be affected. But the little master has already spoken to me, so I'll just help this person once." He roared at Xiaoling, then dove into the magma, poked his two heads out, shook his head towards Xiaoling, and motioned for Xiaoling to follow him. Summoning the Golden Emperor's burning heaven flame in his body to cover his body surface, Xiaoling circulated his fighting spirit, released his fighting spirit wings, and followed the two-headed fire spirit snake. Patting this guy's head, Xiaoling said impatiently, "Hurry up and take me to find the strange fire. If you want to play any tricks, you'll have something to eat." Xiaoling was about to get Qinglian's earth heart fire, and Xiaoling became a little excited, nodding. The two-headed fire spirit snake twisted its body, floated on the surface of the magma, and swam towards the inside of the magma lake. Ziyan and Qinglin on the shore were worried when they saw Xiaoling following the two-headed fire snake walking away, fearing that something might happen to Xiaoling. At this moment, Xiaoling's voice came into the minds of the two of them. This was the sound transmission achieved by Xiaoling using his soul power. Don't worry, this magma won't cause any harm to me. Just wait for me here for a while. When I finish taking out the strange fire, I'll come back to you guys right away. After hearing Xiaoling's message and learning that he was not in danger, the two women looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief. Xiaoling, who was following the two-headed fire spirit snake, quickly approached the inside of the magma pool, looking at the slowly flowing fiery red magma around him. A huge bubble slowly emerged beside him, and then exploded with a bang. Some magma splashed onto Xiaoling's face, but in an instant, it was swallowed up by the layer of red-gold flames. Under the protection of the layer of red-gold flames around him, all magma from the outside world was blocked. The hot magma could not cause any harm to Xiaoling. If it weren't for the strange fire, Xiaoling would never dare to enter the magma world directly. In the original work, Queen Medusa, whose cultivation reached the peak of Doupo, suffered considerable damage when she took away the inner fire of the green lotus. It took more than half a year of training before I dared to use strange fire to evolve my bloodline. The two-headed fire spirit snake led Xiaoling to slide on the magma lake for a while, until a passage appeared in his sight, and then he twisted the snake's tail and got in. Looking at the two-headed fire spirit snake that created circles of ripples in the lava lake, Xiaoling let out a breath, then dove into the magma and hung tightly behind the two-headed fire spirit snake. The magma was a fiery red, but with the protection of the Golden Emperor's burning sky flame, Xiaoling could barely see some of the surrounding environment. He glanced around, then swam quickly, following the continuous fire in front of him. Facing the two-headed fire spirit snake drilling deep into the magma, in the fiery red magma world, undercurrents surge. Occasionally, an extremely ferocious undercurrent of magma surges out from some unknown place. These undercurrents contain extremely huge energy. If it is hit, even a strong Doupo will be affected to a certain extent. Fortunately, the two-headed fire spirit snake is very familiar with the place here. Before the undercurrent arrives, it can find the most suitable route to sneak. Xiaoling, who is following closely behind it, also takes the opportunity to divert these magma undercurrents. He successfully dodged and drove away. In this fiery red world, there seem to be no other creatures except the two-headed fire spirit snake. It's no wonder, after all, the living conditions here are too harsh. If it weren't for the two-headed fire spirit snake, a strange beast that lives by swallowing magma, other monsters without such racial talents would not be able to come and go in such a place. Free and unaffected, as he continued to sneak into the bottom of the seemingly endless magma, even with the protection of the Golden Emperor's burning sky flame, Xiaoling could vaguely feel that the temperature of the outside world was constantly rising. Upon noticing this phenomenon, Xiaoling's face showed a look of joy. The temperature was getting higher and higher, which proved that the distance between Qinglian's inner fire was getting closer and closer. Xiaoling looked around, looked at the green magma around him, and couldn't wait to shout to the two-headed fire spirit snake in front of him, "Swim faster, I'll give you something delicious later." Hearing Xiaoling's urging, the two-headed fire spirit snake had to do it, twisting its body faster, and then the speed of diving suddenly soared. Xiaoling took out a pill to replenish dou qi from the ring and stuffed it into his mouth. The dou qi consumed in his body quickly recovered, and his body turned into a golden stream of light, speeding up and following the two-headed fire spirit snake. As the color of the magma became greener and the temperature became higher, the two-headed fire spirit snake in front of Xiaoling stopped twisting its body and nodded to Xiaoling. Xiaoling, who was following the two-headed fire spirit snake, saw this scene and knew that he had reached his destination. He first took out a pill and threw it into its mouth. His eyes were fixed on the thing with a bright green light not far away. The green light enveloped the magma. Xiaoling looked carefully and saw a green lotus standing gently in the green light. Xiaoling stared at the green lotus and said to himself, "The green lotus earth heart fire finally found you." Chapter 93, Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Blue Lotus Earth Core Fire, ranked 19th on the list of strange fires, was born in the depths of the earth, and has been tempered, fused, compressed, and carved countless times by the fire of the earth. It takes 10 years to become a spirit, 100 years to take shape, and 1,000 years to become a lotus. When it is fully formed, its color is green, and a cluster of green fire grows in the heart of the lotus. It is called Blue Lotus Fire, also known as Blue Lotus Earth Core Fire. This fire is unpredictable and can even cause volcanic eruptions near volcanic areas, forming the destructive power of nature. This information flashed through his mind quickly, and Xiaoling smiled happily. Although he knew in advance that the Blue Lotus Earth Core Fire was in this underground magma world, he was still very excited to see it with his own eyes. Hiss! Beside him, a sharp sound came out of the huge mouth of the two-headed fire spirit snake. Xiaoling looked back and found that the beast was looking at the green light with fear in its huge eyes, and its huge body was also trembling. No longer paying attention to the two-headed fire spirit snake, Xiaoling took a step and walked directly towards the direction of the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire. After a while, a layer of blue film appeared in front of him, and Xiaoling entered it without any hesitation. When his body entered the blue light, the expected heat did not come as expected. But the temperature around him strangely dropped a lot. Xiaoling's eyes quickly swept around, and finally stopped on the blue lotus in the center. The blue lotus has 8 leaves, and the 8 blue leaves are as perfect as the most perfect green jade. At first glance, it is crystal clear, making people feel like they can't let it go. In the lotus, there seems to be a small lotus platform about 2 or 3 feet long. Some holes on the lotus platform emit a little fluorescence. It must be the lotus seeds condensed from the purest fire attribute energy. Below the green lotus, there is an extremely slender rhizome, more than 10 meters long. On the rhizome, there are densely packed tiny tentacles. When these tentacles sway, Xiaoling can clearly feel that they are madly absorbing the violent fire attribute energy in the surrounding magma in an almost greedy state. This green lotus is suspended in the endless magma, like duckweed in the sea, drifting around. If it weren't for the fire spirit snake leading the way, with Xiaoling's ability, even if he searched for 10 days and half a month, it would be impossible to find such a relatively tiny green lotus in such a huge area. As he got closer and closer to the green lotus, Xiaoling could feel its beauty more and more. This kind of nearly perfect thing can only be created by time and the tempering of nature. Carefully avoiding the swinging of the rhizome tentacles, Xiaoling slowly came to the top of the green lotus and looked into the lotus platform. In the center of the small lotus platform in the lotus, there is a fist-sized hole, and a flame shaped like a green lotus is quietly suspended in it. Looking at the green lotus earth core fire quietly suspended on the lotus platform, Xiaoling breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there is this lotus platform to control it. Otherwise it would take a lot of effort to take away this green lotus earth core fire. After confirming that there was no abnormality, Xiaoling took out the jade ruler that had been prepared long ago from the ring. Holding the jade ruler tightly, Xiaoling swam towards the green lotus carefully, and gently scratched the part connected to the rhizome under the lotus seat. Suddenly, the green lotus, which was as perfect as a work of art, fell off. Seeing the green lotus falling, Xiaoling hurriedly made a move to suck it in, and then let it float in front of him and rotate slowly. Holding the rhizome part of the lotus seat, Xiaoling moved his mind and put the lotus seat and the green lotus earth core fire on it into the system space. As the lotus seat and the azure lotus earth core fire were taken away by Xiaoling, the surrounding blue light also dissipated instantly and returned to a red color. Looking back at the remaining rhizome, Xiaoling thought to himself, after 1,000 years, this place may still breed a azure lotus earth core fire, but it will have nothing to do with me at that time. Now I have to leave here quickly and find a place to devour the azure lotus earth core fire to improve my cultivation. Coming to the side of the two-headed fire spirit snake, Xiaoling greeted it, followed it, and hurried in the direction they came from. Why hasn't Xiaoling come out yet? Did something unexpected happen? At the entrance of the passage, Ziyan looked at the lava lake that had been silent for a long time. The mood that had just calmed down gradually became anxious again. Her brows were furrowed, and she walked back and forth anxiously. Sister Ziyan, don't worry. I received a message from the fire spirit snake. The young master is on his way back. Nothing happened. On the side, Qinglin slightly opened her eyes, and a faint light flashed in her green pupils. She raised her little face and looked at Ziyan, who was walking back and forth, and said softly. Plop. As soon as Qinglin finished speaking, the sound of breaking water resounded again in the cave. Ziyan hurriedly cast her eyes into the magma, and saw Xiaoling's figure wrapped in red gold flames slowly appearing in her sight. Ha! Breaking through the sticky magma surface, Xiaoling breathed a long sigh of relief. He raised his head and looked at Ziyan above. Qinglin raised his hand to the two of them, stepped on the magma with his feet, and rushed up. When he was close to mid-air, his back trembled, and his fighting spirit turned into wings. With a slight flutter, his figure floated onto the passage, with his feet on the solid ground. The red gold flames on Xiaoling's body gradually absorbed into his body, and the fighting wings behind him also turned into energy particles and dissipated in the air. Seeing Xiaoling return safely, Ziyan and Qinglin both surrounded him and asked about Xiaoling's situation. Looking at Xiaoling's empty hands, Ziyan asked curiously, Xiaoling, didn't you get the strange fire this time? With a smile, Xiaoling took out the Lotus seat and the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire from the system space. Of course I found it. This is the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire, ranked 19th on the strange fire list. Qinglin, who was standing by, looked at the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire on the Lotus seat, his eyes full of amazement. This strange fire is really beautiful, just like a work of art. Congratulations to the young master for getting the strange fire. Ziyan also nodded in agreement. This strange fire is much more beautiful than the big snake in Canaan Academy. After letting Qinglin and Ziyan observe it for a while, Xiaoling put the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire into the system space. Now that we have obtained the strange fire, we don't have to stay here any longer. The environment here is too hot. Let's go back to Macheng first. After that, Xiaoling turned around and walked towards the passage first. Chapter 94 Blue Lotus Platform. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Ziyan saw Xiaoling leaving, she followed Xiaoling with brisk steps. Looking at the two people who turned around and left, Qinglin hurriedly whistled into the lava lake. Suddenly, the green light on the forehead of the two-headed fire spirit snake suddenly swelled. In an instant, the huge body shrank rapidly, then it turned into a ray of green light and shot into Qinglin's sleeves. The little hand patted the cuff curiously, a little smile appeared on Qinglin's face, and he said softly, Don't make trouble, otherwise the young master will get angry, and I will throw you away. Hiss. The subtle hissing sound was slightly uncomfortable. It must be that the fire spirit snake was dissatisfied with its master's discrimination. He covered his small mouth and smiled softly. Qinglin put his little hands on his back and jumped up to catch up with Xiaoling and the two in front. The three of them gradually disappeared into the darkness of the passage. As the footsteps of the three people gradually moved away, this huge magma cave once again fell into eternal peace. Desert City. After obtaining the Qinglian Earth Core Fire from the underground magma world, Xiaoling and the others returned to Desert City. As the sunset gradually sets, the sky over the desert is gradually shrouded in night, and stars begin to dot the sky, making people feel the tranquility and mystery of the Tagar Desert at night. Walking on the streets of Macheng, Xiaoling was shopping with her two daughters. Although it was night, there were quite a few pedestrians on the streets of Macheng. Most of them were local residents. There were also some guards patrolling to maintain order in the city. On both sides of the street, you can see several mercenaries sitting on the ground from time to time, selling their harvest of the day. There is a dazzling array of items displayed in the shop, and a string of fluorite is hung in front of the door. It is colorful and the lights are flashing, making it dazzling. Although it was just a city on the border of the Gama Empire, the lively atmosphere also aroused Xiaoling's interest. I picked out a few gadgets from various shops, and accompanied Qinglin and Ziyan to eat candied haws on the street. When he came to a shop selling medicinal materials, Xiaoling also made a mistake and bought an auxiliary plant that can refine 6th-grade elixirs at the price of 2nd-grade medicinal materials. Although this medicinal plant is nothing to Xiaoling. But buying it at such a low price still made Xiaoling feel the joy of finding a treasure. When the night got darker, Xiaoling took Ziyan and Qinglin back to the shop in Heibadong. The hall of the shop is decorated with several white moonstones, which emit a soft light and disperse all the darkness. The three of them were sitting on the sofa, chatting and laughing. As time went by, most of everyone's energy also dissipated, because the fatigue caused by the constant running in the past few days gradually poured into the body. Especially Qinglin, who was new to cultivation, would yawn from time to time and look like he was about to fall asleep. Seeing this scene, Xiaoling said with some humor, "It's getting late, let's all go back to the room and rest. After getting up tomorrow morning, we will set off to the imperial capital. There are still some unresolved matters there. By then I have to. After being in seclusion for a long time, I plan to use the energy of Qinglian's earth core fire to break through the Do Huang in one fell swoop." Hearing this, Ziyan felt an inexplicable emotion in her heart. When she first met Xiaoling, Xiaoling was only over 10 years old, and her cultivation level was no more than a great fighting master. Now, just 5 years later, Xiaoling is about to break through to the level of a great fighter. Even though he is a Do Huang, he is still a 6th-grade peak alchemist, and he has always been a Do King. However, Ziyan is still really happy for Xiaoling that Xiaoling's strength can improve so quickly. It seems that this young lady will need to take more medicinal materials in the future, but she can't be pushed too far away by that guy Xiaoling. Ziyan clenched her fists playfully and murmured happily in her heart. "Master, didn't you say before that you wanted to go to that Qingshan town?" Qinglin rubbed her eyes and yawned. Even though she had green snakes and 3-flowered pupils, and her soul power was better than ordinary people, but now after all, his cultivation level is still shallow and he is already in a drowsy state. Rubbing Qinglin's little head, Xiaoling said with a smile, "Qingshan town is on our way back to the imperial capital. Just drop by when the time comes. You look like you are about to fall asleep. Go and rest quickly." After saying good night to each other, the three of them returned to their respective rooms. Sitting on the bed, Xiaoling took out the Lotus platform and Qinglian earth core fire and held it in his hand. Looking at the blue lotus-like flame, Xiaoling's eyes were full of fire. With the help of this strange fire and using the burning technique to devour it, Xiaoling believed that he could directly break through Do Huang in the near future. The 15-year-old Do Huang, even if he was placed among the 8 ancient clans, did not activate Do Emperor. His bloodline should be unmatched by anyone. From this aspect, we can also see the special nature of burning Ju. As long as there are enough flames to engulf it, improving one's cultivation level is just a matter of course. Originally, Xiaoling planned to directly refine the green lotus earthheart fire. However, after careful consideration, in order to maximize the effectiveness of this strange fire, Xiaoling planned to use earth fire lotus seeds and Do Ling Dan to first refine it. It should be no problem to raise the cultivation level to a high-level Do King, and then devour the Qinglian earth heart fire. Not to mention reaching a high-level Do King, it should be no problem to upgrade the cultivation level to a 4 or 5-star Do King. After all, this strange fire is not like the original work. It was used by Queen Medusa, and its energy is still at its peak, and Xiaoling had just swallowed a Golden Emperor burning heaven flame seed fire to improve his cultivation not long ago, and needed to settle down. With the help of the system warehouse, the problem of the inconvenience of carrying the strange fire that could not be stored in the ring was also solved. He could swallow the Azure Lotus Earth Core fire whenever he wanted. Thinking of this, Xiaoling took out the 11 Earth Fire Lotus seeds from the Lotus platform, and then stored the Azure Lotus Earth Core fire separately in the system space. Xiaoling released the root of the lotus seed, and it floated in the air. Immediately, it began to rotate slowly, emitting a burst of green light to the surroundings. Looking at the Azure Lotus seat that was as perfect as a work of art, Xiaoling's eyes flashed with excitement. With a wave of his hand, the position of the Azure Lotus seat dropped a little, and then he jumped up and sat cross-legged steadily on the Lotus platform. The weight of Xiaoling's body caused the Lotus platform to drop rapidly, but in the end, when it was level with the height of the bed, it slowly stopped, sitting on the lotus platform. Before he started practicing his martial arts, the fire-attributed Do Qi in Xiao Ling's body became active, and its speed was more than half faster than usual. Chapter 95 5-Star Fighting King. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feeling the powerful effect of the lotus platform, Xiao Ling was quite satisfied and smiled. He could not wait to take out a lotus seed and felt the majestic fire energy on it. Without any hesitation, Xiao Ling opened his mouth and swallowed it into his stomach. As soon as the lotus seed entered Xiao Ling's mouth, it turned into a majestic fire energy in an instant and spread in his body. Feeling such a change, Xiao Ling immediately started to operate the burning technique with all his strength to digest the pure energy in his body. Feeling the continuous increase of Do Qi in his body, Xiao Ling nodded. This lotus seed is just like a pure fire pill. For a fire cultivator, it is really a treasure. With the help of this lotus seed in Do Ling Dan, it won't take much time to break through the high-level Do Wang. Clearing his distracting thoughts, Xiao Ling closed his eyes and began to concentrate on refining the energy in his body. The next morning, in the room, Xiao Ling quietly sat cross-legged on the green lotus platform. Around Xiao Ling's body, countless energies of heaven and earth rushed into his body, forming a milky white air wave. Xiao Ling, who was practicing, suddenly opened his eyes, and the Do Qi in his body was released uncontrollably, but was immediately taken back into his body by Xiao Ling. The moment he opened his eyes, Xiao Ling's body trembled. At this moment, his mind could clearly feel that the Do crystal, which had already reached its limit of density, had quietly expanded again. His slightly heavy body was also lighter than before. The power contained in his muscles also quietly surged a lot at this moment. Feeling the many changes in his body, Xiao Ling knew in his heart that he had now officially become a 5-star Do Wang. As expected of a companion item of the strange fire, this effect is really extraordinary, and it directly made me break through 1 star of cultivation. If other fire attribute practitioners knew that I had this item, they would definitely want to exchange it from me at a high price. Stretching slightly, Xiao Ling exhaled a breath of turbid air, formed a hand seal to end the practice, and lightly jumped, and his body floated down the lotus platform. Standing next to the lotus platform, Xiao Ling looked at the still perfect green lotus platform, couldn't help but chuckled, carefully put it into the ring, and then tilted his head to look at the dim sky, and couldn't help but say in a little surprise, "Is it already dawn?" After putting away the green lotus platform, Xiao Ling slightly tidied up his messy clothes, took a step, and walked out of the room. After a while, Xiao Ling came to the living room. The figures of 2 girls were in sight. Qinglin sat cross-legged between several pet snakes, holding the heavenly snake treasure book given to her by Xiao Ling and reading it carefully, and occasionally stretched out her delicate hands to touch the heads of several snakes. Ziyan was half lying on the sofa leisurely, playing with a porcelain bottle in her hand, and then poured a pill from it and threw it into her mouth like eating candy beans. Perhaps they heard the footsteps of Xiao Ling. Walking, the 2 girls stopped their actions and cast their eyes in the direction of Xiao Ling. Seeing Xiao Ling coming, because he had just broken through to the 5-star Do Wang, the aura on his body could not be completely restrained. Ziyan, who had also reached the Do Wang level, sensed it slightly and noticed the change in Xiao Ling's aura. Ziyan looked at Xiao Ling with a curious look. Xiao Ling, have you broken through to the 5-star Do Wang? No wonder I felt that the energy of heaven and earth in this room was changing. It should be caused by your breakthrough in cultivation just now. Xiao Ling looked at Ziyan and smiled. Yes, I took the companion of the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire, and my cultivation has improved. I just broke through to the 5-star Do Wang. With a flash of white light in his hand, Xiao Ling took out a Earth Fire Lotus seed from the ring and threw it to Ziyan. This thing is called Earth Fire Lotus seed, but it is a very rare thing. Let you try it. Ziyan took it in her palm and said with a smile, "Hee, thank you Xiao Ling." Although Qinglin could not distinguish the breath released by Xiao Ling, he could still feel that Xiao Ling was much stronger than before, and came to Xiao Ling with brisk steps. Congratulations on the improvement of your cultivation. Qinglin looked at Xiao Ling with joy on his face. After stroking Qinglin's little head, Xiao Ling said lovingly, "Qinglin, your cultivation has improved very quickly. It seems that you have been practicing hard these days. After the three of them chatted for a while, Xiaoling smiled and said to the two girls, then let's not dawdle any more and set off for the imperial capital. After that, he pushed open the door of the map shop, waved to the two girls, and then walked out of the door first. Qinglin and Xian nodded one after another, and the two held hands and followed Xiaoling out of the map shop. Then he closed the door again and locked it. Xiaoling then woke up the split sky seat in his sleeves, took the two girls to sit on it, and flew towards the direction of the monster mountain range. Standing on the top of the skybreaker, overlooking the gradually shrinking Imo city in his sight, Xiaoling muttered to himself, I don't know when I will come here again. If there is no special reason, I may never come back to this city again. After flying for several days on the skybreaker, Xiaoling and his companions finally arrived at the town at the outermost edge of the monster mountain range. The town is called Qingshan Town. Because it is close to the monster mountain range, it is also called the monster town. The largest group of people in the town are naturally the mercenaries who live on the edge of a knife every day. They gathered in groups, hugged each other, and talked about which women in the town were the most attractive, which wine was the strongest, and which monsters were the most ferocious. At this time, Xiaoling, with Qinglin and Xian, was walking on the streets of Qingshan Town. Due to Xiaoling's temperament that was incompatible with this place, and the two playful and cute little girls behind him, Qinglin and Xian, naturally attracted the strange gazes of passers-by. However, whenever someone wanted to get close to the three of them, Xiaoling would release an aura comparable to that of a great fighting master, which saved a lot of trouble. Xiaoling did not care about the gazes from the people around him, but took the two girls to walk slowly on the street, looking for their destination. There were many shops on both sides of the street, and because of the location, the popularity was quite hot. Xiaoling's eyes swept through the brightly lit shops with interest, and when his eyes fell on a spacious herbal medicine shop, he stopped, looking at the three big characters Wanya's High engraved on the plaque at the door. Xiaoling couldn't help but smile, and walked into the shop with Qinglin and Xian without hesitation. Chapter 96 Little Medical Fairy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Walking into the spacious shop, the moonstone hanging on the wall illuminated the shop like daylight. There were quite a lot of people in the shop at this time, and the staff were all very busy, so no one greeted Xiaoling and the other two who had just entered. No one greeted him. Xiaoling was also happy to be quiet, and his eyes slowly swept across the transparent counter. Suddenly, Xiaoling felt his sleeves being pulled, and turned his head to see Ziyan's eyes, staring at a piece of light yellow block in the corner of the counter. Seeing that no one around was paying attention to her, Ziyan pointed in the direction she was staring at just now, and put her little mouth close to Xiaoling's ear, whispering, Xiaoling, that yellow thing, in my perception, should be a 5th-grade medicinal material. It seems that you used it when you refined the elixir before. Hearing this, Xiaoling's eyes followed the direction of Ziyan's finger, and when he saw the light yellow block, he suddenly realized, that should be the piece of blood lotus essence that Yao Chen found in Wanyao Zhai in the original book. Unexpectedly, Ziyan discovered the difference of this piece of blood lotus essence just after entering the Wanya's High. Blood lotus essence is an extremely rare high-grade medicinal material. This kind of medicinal material usually grows together with yellow lotus essence, but the number is extremely rare. Its appearance is almost exactly the same as yellow lotus essence. If someone is not familiar with it, it will be difficult to distinguish the two. When Xiaoling refined the blood lotus pill, he used this kind of medicinal material, and now there are still a few pieces in the ring. Retracting his sight, Xiaoling called out to the female clerk passing by and pointed to several medicinal materials, including the blood lotus essence. Please help me pack these medicinal materials, I want them all. The female clerk who was called, seeing Xiaoling's noble appearance and the two women behind him wearing extraordinary clothes, thought they were the young masters and young ladies of a rich family, and showed a professional smile. He took out the herbs from the counter and smiled at Xiaoling. Sir, these herbs are worth 1,000 gold coins. Nodding, Xiaoling casually took out a bag of gold coins from the ring and handed it to the female clerk. Seeing this, the clerk's eyes flashed. The ring is a rare thing in Qingshan Town. Now Xiaoling is the least lacking item because of the system's extraction. Xiaoling has not felt the pain of having no money to spend. after the herbs were packed and sent to him, Xiaoling's hand flashed with white light and he casually put the herbs into the ring. Let me ask you something. Do you have a doctor named Xiao Yixian in Wanyazhai? Xiaoling looked at the female clerk and asked casually. Sir, are you looking for Xiao Yixian? The clerk turned his eyes slightly, hesitated for a moment, and said softly, Xiao Yixian is indeed in our Wanyazhai, and she is our specially hired doctor. Although I don't know why this noble young man is looking for Xiao Yixian, why should I hide this thing from this generous sponsor that can be known by asking casually? Are you looking for a doctor? Then she asked carefully, people in Qingshan town usually come to look for Xiao Yixian for medical treatment, and even if they want to pursue Xiao Yixian, they use the excuse of looking for a doctor. But now no one dares to show any intention of pursuing Xiao Yixian. On the one hand, Xiao Yixian has always been rude to men. It's okay to ask her for medical treatment, but it's impossible to go further. Secondly, Mu Li, the young leader of the Wolf-Head mercenary group, a tyrant in Qingshan town, has long expressed his intention to Xiao Yixian. Several mercenaries who wanted to get close to Xiao Yixian had their legs broken by him. No one wants to offend a second-generation ancestor for a woman. That's not the case. I just want to meet her. Xiaoling shook his head. Xiaoling himself is a 6th-grade alchemist. If he gets sick, he can solve it himself. The female clerk looked at Xiaoling again, thinking that he was another young man who had heard about Xiao Yixian's beauty and planned to come to her house to ask for love. This young man, Xiao Yixian, is not feeling well today and cannot meet outsiders. That if he took this person to see Xiao Yixian and was known by Mu Li, the young leader of the Wolf-Head mercenary group, wouldn't he be in big trouble? Isn't this asking for trouble? Frowning, Xiaoling took out a porcelain bottle from his ring, which contained a 2nd-grade pill, and stuffed it into the female clerk's hand. Take me to see Xiao Yixian, and this pill will be yours. After opening the bottle stopper and smelling the medicinal fragrance emanating from it, the female clerk quickly put the porcelain bottle containing the pill into her pocket, fearing that it would be discovered. Now, there is not even a 1st-grade alchemist in Qingshan town, let alone this 2nd-grade pill. For the female clerk who has not broken through to the doja level, the value of this pill may be higher than her life. After putting away the pill, the female clerk did not dare to treat Xiaoling as an ordinary rich young man. He could take out a 2nd-grade pill and give it to others at will. His origin must be beyond the reach of the people in Qingshan town. Sir, please wait a moment. After saying this, the female clerk walked into a passage and headed towards the room of Xiao Yixian in the backyard of Wanyazhai. With the benefits as motivation, the efficiency is naturally not slow. A moment later, the female clerk came out with a beautiful girl dressed in a green shirt as a maid. She was a maid carefully equipped by Wanyazhai for Xiao Yixian. Although Xiao Yixian was just a doctor, she also had some status in this small Qingshan town where even alchemists did not exist. This maid was specially assigned to her by Wanyazhai to take care of her daily life. She is also her right-hand man. Her name is Li Fei. In the original book, it was this person who revealed the information about Xiao Yixian to Mu Li of the Wolf-Head mercenary group. This young man, do you want to see Xiao Yixian? I am her maid. The female clerk and Li Fei had specially reminded her before that the identities of these 3 people were not ordinary people. They should be distinguished guests from outside Qingshan town. Seeing the gorgeous clothes of the 3 people with her own eyes, her thoughts became more certain, and her attitude unconsciously became more respectful. Well, take me to see her. Knowing that this woman was not a good person, Xiaoling did not intend to communicate with her too much, and his attitude was very cold. Hearing Xiaoling's cold tone, Li Fei was not angry, but became more respectful, and said softly, "Please follow me, everyone." After that, Li Fei led Xiaoling and others through the front desk of the store, walked through a winding bluestone corridor, and finally stopped in front of a courtyard. Xiaoling looked at a beautiful figure in the courtyard, and was immediately attracted by her. In the courtyard, a young woman was sitting under a pine tree in the center of the courtyard, holding a pharmacopoeia in her hand, carefully looking at the content written on it. The woman was wearing a light white dress. Although her appearance was not the most beautiful in the world, she could be said to be a rare beauty. Her face with a faint smile exuded a fresh and ethereal temperament. This unique temperament immediately made the woman's charm greatly increased. The willow waist that was not even a hand's length was tied with a green belt, which further supported the woman's softness and extraordinary beauty. This beautiful scene was firmly engraved in Xiao Ling's mind even after many years, and would not fade away for a long time. Chapter 97 Heading to the Cave. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Fei walked to the fence and said to Xiao Yixian under the cypress tree, "Miss, the person who wants to see you is here." Hearing Li Fei's voice, Xiao Yixian put down the book in her hand and looked at Xiao Ling and the other two. "Dear guests, come in and sit down." Xiao Yixian's ethereal and pleasant voice reached Xiao Ling and the others. Li Fei pushed the door open and made a gesture of invitation. Xiao Ling also strode in, followed by Ziyan and Qing Lin. However, Li Fei knew that Xiao Yixian didn't let her in, so she stood outside the door to help close the door. After entering the courtyard, Xiao Ling took the lead in looking around and found that although this courtyard was not large, it was quite clean. At the back of the courtyard, there was a medicinal field with dozens of medicinal herbs planted in it, all of which could be used to treat ordinary injuries, while Xiao Ling was looking around. Xiao Yixian also looked at Xiao Ling, the leader of the three. The boy was about 1.85 meters tall, wearing a luxurious moon-white robe, with long blue-silver hair scattered behind him, mixed with some golden hair, which further highlighted a sense of nobility. His facial features were delicate and flawless, and his blue-gold eyes were clear and deep. When he looked into them, he felt that his mind was drawn. Xiao Yixian had seen handsome men before, but when he saw the boy in front of him, he felt that he was favored by God and was so perfect. Feeling Xiao Yixian's eyes on him, Xiao Ling smiled at her lightly, waved his hand to arrange a soul barrier, blocking the sound of communication. "The girl is Xiao Yixian, right? I came to you this time to make a deal with you." Xiao Ling looked at Xiao Yixian and said in a calm tone. After hearing Xiao Ling's question, Xiao Yixian came back to her senses and smiled lightly. "Yes, my name is Xiao Yixian, and everyone in Qingshan town calls me that." After a slight pause, she asked, "I wonder what kind of deal this young man wants to make with me. I am quite knowledgeable about pharmacology. If you want to see me for treatment, you don't have to come to me directly with such a large force. Xiao Ling is not looking for you to see a doctor. He is a 6th-grade alchemist. How could he need you, a doctor who is not even a fighter, to see a doctor?" Ziyan behind Xiao Ling curled her lips, put her waist on, and looked at Xiao Yixian. Hearing this, Xiao Yixian's pupils trembled, and she looked at Xiao Ling in disbelief. "You are actually a 6th-grade alchemist, how is this possible?" Although Xiao Yixian is a doctor, she has always had a dream of becoming an alchemist, but because her own fighting spirit attribute does not meet the prerequisites of alchemy, she will never be able to become an alchemist in her life. Although the young man in front of him looked very extraordinary and should be 1 or 2 years younger than himself, he was actually a 6th-grade alchemist. Xiao Yixian didn't dare to think about this situation. The first thought that came to her mind was that the little girl was lying. Touching Ziyan's head, Xiao Ling said to her in a helpless tone, "Ziyan, you have to be more restrained when talking to others. Don't look down on others easily when you go out." Xiao Yixian is someone Xiao Ling must turn around. She has a body of evil poison, and her cultivation talent is not much worse than those geniuses of ancient races. If it weren't for the late stage of cultivation, there would be no toxins that could harm Dousheng in Douqi continent, and it would be impossible to quickly improve the cultivation by absorbing poison. If there were powerful enough poisons, Xiao Yixian's final cultivation would not be only 1-star Dousheng. In Xiao Ling's view, on Douqi continent, the evil poison body can improve the cultivation very quickly before Dousheng, and even Qinglin with the 3-flower pupil of the green snake cannot compare with her. However, if you want people with the evil poison body to absorb poison without worries and improve their cultivation, the premise is to solve the side effects of this physique. Otherwise they will not be able to control the toxins in their bodies and eventually explode and die. But Xiao Ling has read the original novel after all, and he is very confident in solving the side effects of the evil poison body. As long as he gets the method of refining poison pills, Xiao Ling knows the whereabouts of the materials needed. After kidnapping Xiao Yixian and opening the evil poison body, it won't take long for the cultivation to surpass Ziyan. I don't know if Ziyan will feel embarrassed when she thinks back to what she just said, but with Ziyan's carefree personality, this situation should not happen, stopping all the thoughts in his mind. Xiaoling turned his gaze to the still somewhat shocked Xiao Yixian and smiled. Xiao Yixian, Ziyan is a little outspoken, please forgive me, but what she said is right, I am indeed a 6th-grade alchemist. After speaking, Xiaoling stretched out his palm, and the golden emperor burning sky flame in his body was released, and a scorching temperature spread out, but under Xiaoling's intentional control, it did not cause any damage to the surroundings. Xiao Yixian saw this scene, recalled what Ziyan said, and realized that this boy might really be a 6th-grade alchemist, and even if the boy in front of him was not a 6th-grade alchemist, condensing flames out of thin air was a method that only Douling and 4th-grade alchemists could possess. With such strength, if they wanted to attack me, it would be a piece of cake. Thinking of this, Xiao Yixian's eyes gradually became alert, and her right hand quietly reached back and held a bag of poison that she had prepared for self-defense. If this person wanted to harm himself, he could only attack the 2 girls behind the young man and make them use rat weapons. Xiaoling naturally noticed the little medical fairy's little actions, and saw that he was very wary of him, and was a little speechless. He waved his hand and looked at the little medical fairy seriously. Don't think nonsense. I don't want to do anything bad to you. I came to look for you this time. I just want to ask you something. I heard you often look for medicinal materials in the Warcraft Mountains. Have you ever found a cave on a cliff? After hearing Xiaoling's explanation and not wanting to do anything to him, the little medical fairy breathed a sigh of relief. After coming back to his senses, thinking of Xiaoling's inquiry, the little medical fairy had a lot of thoughts in his mind. Regarding the discovery of a cave in the Warcraft Mountains, he had only mentioned this to the maid Li Fei. Could it be that she revealed this secret? Given to the young man, seeing the pensive look of the little medical fairy, Xiaoling shook her head helplessly. It seemed that this girl was still wary of herself and did not intend to tell her the secrets about the cave. In this case, we can only use some benefits to seduce this girl. Xiaoling opened her palms, took out a few medicinal herbs from the ring, and handed them to the little medical fairy. She also took out a 3rd-grade alchemist's medicine refining manual and waved it in front of the little medical fairy. He spoke to the little medical fairy in a seductive tone, as long as you take me to find that cave, you can choose the items in it first. I will take away the items that are not attractive to you. Moreover, these medicinal plants and this alchemist's handbook is all given to you as a reward for taking me there. Looking at the few medicinal plants in his hand that he had only seen in books, and the alchemist's manual in front of him, the little medical fairy swallowed, obviously feeling a little moved. Although he cannot become an alchemist due to lack of talent, the handbooks of a 3rd-grade alchemist must have recorded many medicinal materials that he has never seen before, and it can also make him more proficient in some pharmacological knowledge. Now that my strength is low, and a strong man of the opponent's level comes to me, I still can't antagonize him, otherwise my life may be in danger. Moreover, the temptation of these medicinal materials and the 3rd-grade alchemist's notes is too great. If they refuse this transaction, even if these people will not do anything to themselves, they may never have the opportunity to obtain these items in this life. After some careful consideration, the little medical fairy nodded and said to Xiaoling, in that case, I will take you to find the cave, but these medicinal materials and the 3rd-grade alchemist's manual must be handed over to me in advance. After arriving in the cave, I have to choose the treasures first. Don't worry. I have always cooperated with you with great sincerity. I have never meant to harm you. By the way, let me introduce myself. My name is Xiaoling. I heard that the little medical fairy agreed to the deal. Xiaoling's mood became much happier, and she placed the 3rd-grade alchemist's manual in the palm of the little medical fairy's hand. Pointing to Ziyan and Qinglin behind him, Xiaoling smiled at the little medical fairy and introduced, the one with purple hair is Ziyan, and the one with green eyes is Qinglin. Both of them are my family. Ziyan just glanced at the little medical fairy and said nothing. For Ziyan, who is a monster, she has no interest in facing humans who are weaker than herself. Qinglin, who had a gentle personality, stepped forward to say hello and said softly to the little medical fairy, "Hello, sister little medical fairy, my name is Qinglin, and I am the young master's sister." Seeing Qing Lin greeting him, the little medical fairy also smiled back. However, the little medical fairy was a little curious about why she called him young master since she was the young man's sister. However, the relationship between the two of them was still shallow. It's better not to ask too much about these things. Ziyan was transformed into a monster. She doesn't like communicating with strangers. She doesn't have any prejudice against you. Xiaoling touched Ziyan's head and smiled. "Since you have agreed to this deal, let's set off without further ado." Hearing Xiaoling's urging, the little medical fairy nodded. After putting away the medicinal materials and notes, he walked towards the door, intending to take Xiaoling and others on foot to find the cave on the cliff. Seeing this scene, Xiaoling quickly stopped the little medical fairy. "What are you going to do? Do you plan to walk over directly?" That she smiled at Ziyan beside her and said, "Ziyan, can you take the little medical fairy to fly a certain distance? Then I will use my own money to take out a 5th-grade medicinal plant and refine it into pills for you." When she heard that there were pills as reward, Ziyan immediately nodded vigorously. "Okay, then I will have to choose a more delicious one by myself." Then, in the little doctor's eyes with some doubts, he took her hand. Just when the little medical fairy wanted to ask what was going on, he was surprised to find that Xiaoling hugged Qing Lin into his arms, then spread out a pair of golden fighting spirit wings and flew into the sky. Seeing this scene, Li Fei and the little medical fairy outside the hospital gate took a deep breath and exclaimed, "Do, the powerful Do King." Xiaoling, who flew into the sky, waved to Ziyan, "Ziyan, be careful not to hurt the little medical fairy." After saying that, he flapped his fighting spirit wings behind him and flew towards the direction of the Warcraft Mountains. Seeing that Xiaoling had left, Ziyan hugged the little medical fairy from behind. Her small waist that could not be easily grasped, spread out a pair of purple fighting spirit wings, and chased in the direction of Xiaoling. Looking at the ground getting farther and farther away from her, Xiaoxian, who was experiencing flying for the first time, couldn't help but let out a series of screams. The sound spread out, and the customers who were buying medicinal materials in Wanya's High all looked at it. Seeing this scene, someone exclaimed, Do Wang Strongmen, or 2 Do Wang Strongmen. Xiao Yixian of Wanya's High was actually captured by Do Wang Strongmen. The people around heard this and started to talk about it. Not long after, an astonishing news spread quickly in Qingshan town. It is said that there were 2 Do Wang strongmen who saw Xiao Yixian's stunning face and became greedy for her. They actually broke into Wanya's High in broad daylight and took Xiao Yixian away. It is said that Xiao Yixian was still asking for help from the people around her, but everyone was shocked by the momentum of the Do Wang strongmen, and no one dared to step forward to help. And Xiao Yixian was forcibly taken away from Qingshan town in the eyes of everyone. After a long time in the air, Xiao Yixian finally calmed down. Looking around, she found that she was already in mid-air, and under her feet was the rolling demonic beast mountains. Xiaoling, who was in front of Xiao Yixian, asked, "Which direction should we fly to the cave you found?" Hearing Xiaoling's question, Xiao Yixian came back to her senses, identified the direction, and pointed in a direction. "Fly in that direction all the way, and after you reach the highest mountain, descend a distance, and you will see the location of the cave." After flying for a while, Xiaoling and his group arrived at their destination. After driving away the rock snake at the entrance of the cave, Xiaoling and Ziyan flapped their fighting wings slightly, and landed in the cave with Qing Lin and Xiao Yixian. After landing, Xiao Yixian quickly broke away from Ziyan's arms, and then looked at the inside of the cave impatiently. "Let's go and see what we can get. This is also my first time in this cave." Chapter 98, The Remaining Map of the Pure Lotus Demonic Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Let's go, let's hurry up and catch up. Seeing Xiao Yixian leading the way into the cave, Xiaoling nodded to Qing Lin and Ziyan behind him, stretched out a finger, and a flash of fire jumped up, dispelling all the darkness around. Walking in the quiet and dark cave, a faint chill lingered around the body, and in the quiet passage, there were only the subtle footsteps of 4 people. The dark environment around made Xiao Yixian hug each other involuntarily. She looked up at Xiaoling, who was walking slowly in front of her, hesitated slightly, and then took a few quick steps and followed him closely. In this environment, only the boy in front of her could make her feel more secure. feeling that the atmosphere was a little awkward, Xiaoling prepared to find some topics to answer some questions before crossing. Xiaoling looked at Xiao, his face full of doubts. Xiao, is this your original name? Yes, I haven't seen my father since I was born. My mother died in an accident. As she spoke, Xiaoxian's mood was a little low, and crystal tears flashed in her eyes. I guess the accident that Xiaoxian mentioned should be the first outbreak of the evil poison body, which implicated her mother. This matter should have always been a knot in Xiaoxian's heart. Touching his chin, Xiaoling felt inexplicably emotional, looking at Xiaoxian with a somewhat apologetic look. Xiaoling's face was full of guilt. I'm sorry, I reminded you of these sad memories. It doesn't matter, these things have been many years ago, and I have no worries about them. Showing a calm look on her face, Xiaoxian shook her head at Xiaoling indifferently, but there was a sense of sadness hidden in her eyes. Seeing this, Xiaoling habitually reached out his hand and intended to rub Xiaoxian's head to express his comfort. However, thinking back that the two had known each other for a short time and their relationship was not that good, he still put down his hand that had just been stretched out. Xiaoxian also noticed Xiaoling's intention. Unexpectedly, she was not angry with Xiaoling. She smiled lightly, put her hands behind her back, and continued to walk into the cave. Shaking his head, Xiaoling sighed lightly and stopped thinking about this matter. The cave returned to peace again. With the illumination of the flame in Xiaoling's hand, several people walked along the cave passage into it. After a while, a stone door appeared in front of them. Seeing this scene, the four people also stopped to look at the stone door. Xiaoling pointed at the stone gate in front, turned around and looked at the three people. The road ahead is blocked by this stone gate. Hearing this, Xiaoxian frowned slightly, took 2 steps forward, looked at the stone gate, and said in deep thought, behind the stone gate should be our destination. Since this predecessor would build a cave here, I think he would not create a situation where there is no way in. Stretching out her slender fingers, Xiaoxian tapped on it. Look at the yellow light on the stone gate. It is obviously set up with earth-based mechanical techniques. As long as you are careful, it is not difficult to open it. I have read some books about mechanical techniques. Give me some time and I can open this stone gate immediately. After that, Xiaoxian rolled up her sleeves, revealing a section of her wrist, and stepped forward to crack the mechanism. Ziyan, who was standing behind the few people, saw Xiaoxian's eager look, curled her lips, walked to Xiaoxian, and gently pushed her open. The little Dr. Fairy who was pushed away by Ziyan looked back with a puzzled look. Why did this little girl push me? She was so indifferent just now. Could it be that she had something against me? However, Ziyan's next move dispelled the doubts in the little Dr. Fairy's heart. Ziyan raised her pink little fist, which was full of purple light. As Ziyan twisted her body, she made a series of sonic booms and smashed it towards the stone door in front of her. Boom! With a loud bang, the stone door was directly smashed into pieces by Ziyan's punch, and turned into dust on the ground. The terrifying power of this punch can be seen. Clapping her hands and shaking off the dust on it, Ziyan said to the little Dr. Fairy lightly, "It's just a small stone door. I can break it with a casual blow." Looking at Ziyan's smug look, the corners of the little Dr. Fairy's mouth twitched slightly. She really didn't expect that this little girl would be so violent. However, recalling what Xiaoling said before, this little girl was a transformed demon beast, and her strength had reached the Douwang realm. Such violence was reasonable. The stone door blocking the way was smashed by Ziyan. The four did not stay for too long and walked into the secret room behind the stone door together. Inside the stone door was a huge stone room. The stone room looked a bit simple and empty. On the wall, there were moonstones used for lighting. In the center of the stone room, there was a chair. On the chair, a withered skeleton sat on it. The deeply sunken skull fell on the pale thigh bone. This appearance looked a bit gloomy in this quiet atmosphere. In front of the chair, there was a rather wide and long bluestone platform. On the bluestone platform, 3 locked stone boxes were neatly placed. In addition, in the 3 corners of the stone room, there were actually a lot of golden coins and other precious property piled up. Such a large number of gold coins was probably no less than hundreds of thousands. There is no shortage of treasures and money for Xiaoling and the others, and the original owners of these treasures also placed them randomly. It seems that they did not attach too much importance to these yellow and white things. After the four people entered the stone room, Ziyan's eyes were fixed on the corner of the stone room. Seeing this, everyone in Xiaoling also looked in the direction of her eyes. In the last corner, a small flower bed was piled with soil. In the flower bed, various flowers and plants were planted, and a strange fragrance lingered in it. Looking at these flowers and plants, Xiaoling suddenly realized that it was the fragrance of these medicinal materials that attracted Ziyan. The nose of Taishu Gulong was indeed more sensitive than ordinary people. When the little medical fairy saw these medicinal materials, her eyes were instantly attracted. However, thinking of the people around me with unfathomable strength, I was afraid of causing their dissatisfaction, so I only dared to use my peripheral vision to observe whether Xiaoling and the others were suitable for their plans and whether they would abide by their previous agreement. Seeing the little medical fairy's appearance, Xiaoling was really afraid that she had misunderstood him. Don't worry, little fairy. Of course what I said before is true. As long as you like these medicinal materials, you can take them all. Can. The little medical fairy, who was a little nervous at first, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief after hearing Xiaoling's words. Now that he was in this cave, since the other party didn't take action against him, it seemed that he was a man of his word. He took out a small shovel from his backpack, rolled up his sleeves, and then began to carefully dig out the precious medicinal materials in the flower beds. He also took out the jade bottles containing the medicinal materials that he carried with him and put them one by one into them. Purple-blue leaves, white ginseng fruit, ice spirit flame grass, snow lotus seeds. The beautiful eyes stared blankly at the small flower bed, and the names of rare and hard-to-find high-grade medicinal materials secretly popped out from the little Dr. Fairy's red mouth. The little medical fairy has only seen these medicinal materials in some books introducing medicinal materials, especially the ice spirit flame grass, which seems to be the main medicine for refining 6th-grade elixirs. I didn't expect that the harvest this time would be so good. Big. For a medicine lover like her, getting a rare medicinal herb is far more thrilling and exciting than getting hundreds of thousands of property. Xiaoling rubbed Ziyan's little head, looked at her pitiful look, and said with a smile, "Don't take it to heart, these medicinal materials are not helpful for cultivation. When we get to the imperial capital, I will give them you eat a whole Tianfei fruit." When Ziyan heard this, her eyes immediately lit up. Tianfei guiya is one of the few medicinal herbs that can be eaten directly and tastes super good. Xiaoling was so precious in the past that he was reluctant to take it out, but this time he can actually eat it. It's a whole piece. It seems that he must be in a good mood now. It's agreed that I will have to pick the biggest one to eat. At this time, Qinglin had already walked to the stone table in the center of the stone room. Curiously looking at the 3 simple stone boxes placed on it, I found that there were 3 metal locks on each stone box. I stretched out my little hand and twisted one hard. I found that it was not moved at all, and there was no trace of corrosion by the years. This was obviously not an ordinary metal, so I wanted to use brute force. The method of using force to open the lock is somewhat unworkable. "Where are the keys?" Qinglin muttered, and his moving gaze rested on the dead bones behind the stone table. He moved his gaze downwards, but his eyes lit up. He saw 3 black keys in the palm of the skeleton, being suspended above the bones. After rubbing his hands, Qinglin stepped forward, looked at the withered bones, and clasped his palms towards it with a feeling of weakness, then carefully grabbed the key and pulled it gently. Crack. Due to the passage of time, the skeletal arm was pulled off by this small force. At this time, Ziyan and Xiaoling also walked up to Qinglin. Seeing this funny look, they couldn't help laughing. Hearing the chuckles of Xiaoling and Ziyan, Qinglin's pretty face felt hot, and she glanced at the withered bones behind the stone table unhappily. When looking through the fracture above, it was faintly discovered that there seemed to be a small scroll hidden in the gap between the bones. Seeing this scene, Qinglin pointed at the small scroll and looked at Xiaoling with curious eyes. "Master, there seems to be something hidden there." Upon hearing Qinglin's inquiry, Xiaoling looked in the direction of Qinglin's finger and happened to find the small, familiar scroll. With one move of his hand, the scroll fell into Xiaoling's palm. After seeing Xiaoling take away the scroll, Qinglin picked up the broken arm and carefully put it back on the withered bones. After untying a black rope tied to it, the entire scroll appeared in front of Xiaoling. What appears in the eyes is a piece of leather paper made of an unknown material. On the slightly yellowed leather paper, there are some seemingly irregular lines painted on it. In the corner of the leather paper, there is a flower that looks somewhat like a lotus. Something vague like that. This lotus-shaped thing looks faintly yellowed and blurry, perhaps due to the passage of time, but its general outline can still be seen clearly. The lotus flower is black, and there seems to be a thin layer of black inflammation attached to the surface of the lotus flower. If you look seriously, the whole lotus flower actually gives people a vague feeling of monster. The second residual picture of the pure lotus demon fire. I finally found you. Holding the residual picture in his hand, Xiaoling couldn't hide his excitement. Now Xiaoling already has 2 fragments of the pure lotus demon fire remnants in his hands. One is right in front of him, and the other is naturally the one he got from Haibuodong. Xiaoling, who had read the original work, naturally knew where the other 2 fragments of the map appeared. One of them could be obtained easily in Black Seal City, while the last one had to wait until the Space Trade Fair before the ancient Bodhi tree was born. It can be auctioned only if it is above, but by the time of the Space Fair, everyone else knows the true origin of this residual map, but they cannot get it as easily as the other 3 residual maps of pure lotus demon fire without taking out some priceless ones. Treasures cannot be obtained without sufficient strength. As long as you have a complete map of the pure lotus demon fire, you can awaken the sleeping consciousness of the pure lotus demon saint within it. Not to mention whether he can learn a single move from this half-emperor. Just because he can format the pure lotus demon fire trapped in the demon fire space, it will be difficult to conquer it from hell. If it falls to the difficulty level, Xiaoling must collect all 4 remaining pictures of the pure lotus demon fire. The little medical fairy who had just collected the medicinal materials also came to the stone table at this time. Seeing Xiaoling and the others staring at the ancient scroll, they muttered in their hearts, "What is the origin of this thing? How can this 6-year-old man?" The pharmacists are so happy to see it. Seeing the little medical fairy on the side cast a curious look, Xiaoling showed her some of the broken pictures. "I want this thing, do you have any objection?" Turning his eyes to the broken picture in Xiaoling's hand, the little medical fairy looked at it carefully and found that not only could he not find any clues at all, but he also felt dizzy. He quickly looked away and shook his head. "Since you want it, then take it." "Thank you very much. Then I will accept it without any courtesy. There are 3 more boxes here. Let's open them together. If there are any items that catch your eye, just take them all. I'm still younger than you. Don't be so reserved with me, it will make me feel a little uncomfortable." Putting the remnant picture of the pure lotus demon fire into the sodium ring, Xiaoling smiled at the little medical fairy and raised the 3 strings in his hand. "Black key," and then pointed to the 3 quaint boxes on the stone table. After taking a look at the 3 boxes on the stone table, the little medical fairy nodded slightly, indicating that he understood. Chapter 99, The Poisonous Body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nodding slightly, Xiaoling took out the keys and inserted them into the metal lock one by one. After several attempts, the 3 stone boxes were opened by Xiaoling, and the items inside appeared in the sight of the 4 people. Inside each stone box, there is a scroll. Xiaoling nodded to the little medical fairy. "According to the conditions agreed before, you can go up and choose first." Nodding, the little medical fairy stretched out her bright wrist and took the lead in picking up a light blue scroll. Looking at the writing on it, he murmured softly, "Xian level advanced fighting skill, Crazy Lion's Roar." Obviously this is a book of Xian level fighting skills. The little medical fairy had no interest in it and handed it to Xiaoling. "This is of no use to me. Do you need it?" "Thank you very much. I'm quite interested in this fighting skill." Xiaoling raised his eyebrows and put this fighting skill into the ring. "I don't know if this book The Roar of the Wild Lion has any connection with the Xiao family's previous strongest technique, the Raging Lion. I will give it to Xiao Zhan when I get to the imperial capital. However, this little medical fairy is not even interested in a book of advanced fighting skills of Xian level, which is worth hundreds of thousands of gold coins. It seems that the little medical fairy is really only interested in pharmacology, but it is a pity that God has made a mistake with her. The joke made her become the most talented poison master in the world. After seeing Xiao Ling take away the fighting skills, the little medical fairy picked up another black scroll in the stone box. Xian level advanced flying fighting skills, purple cloud wings. When she saw this name for the first time, the little medical fairy blinked in confusion. She had heard of attack fighting skills, defensive fighting skills, body fighting skills, etc. But this was the first time he heard about the flying fighting skill, and he cast a doubtful look at Xiao Ling. What is this flying fighting skill? Why haven't I heard of it? You, a 6th grade alchemist, should have a lot of experience. You know what is this flying fighting skill? As the name suggests, this fighting skill allows people to fly in the sky. I have only heard of the name of this flying fighting skill, but this is the first time I have seen it. Xiao Ling glanced at the scroll of flying fighting skills and said, even in Canaan Academy, Xiao Ling has never seen anyone use flying fighting skills. Flying? Isn't that a talent that at least requires a strong spirit fighter to possess? Hearing this, the little medical fairy was surprised at first, and then his face became confused. This flying fighting skill is made from the wings of bird-like monsters through secret methods. After practicing the flying fighting skill, the practitioner can extend 2 small branches in the veins behind his back. As long as these with 2 branches extending out, even if his own strength is not at the Do Wang level, he can still condense his wings and fly through the air, Xiao Ling explained. After a slight pause, Xiao Ling added, however, if you want to use flying fighting skills, you need to consume a lot of fighting energy. Now even the fighter has not arrived. If you use flying fighting skills, the fighting energy in the body will be drained instantly, and this volume on top of the flying fighting skills, there is also a trace of the remnant soul of the flying monster. If you want to get started with this flying fighting skill, you have to accept the impact of the remnant soul. With your current soul power, I am afraid. After saying that, Xiao Ling shook his head, obviously not optimistic about whether the little medical fairy could master this flying fighting skill. Hearing Xiao Ling's explanation, the little medical fairy was a little unconvinced, but remembering that Xiao Ling was a 6th grade alchemist and there was no need to lie to him, he still put aside the flying fighting skills angrily. The little medical fairy turned her attention to the last colorful scroll and held it in her hands. 7 Colors Poison Sutra. He read out the 4 words on it softly. The little medical fairy was a little surprised at first, but then a look of joy appeared on his face. Shaking the 7-colored poison sutra in his hand at Xiao Ling, the little medical fairy said with a smile, I will accept this 7-colored poison sutra and leave the volume of flying fighting skills to you. Xiao Ling nodded slightly, put the scroll of flying fighting skills on the side into the ring, and murmured in his heart, after Qinglin breaks through to the fighting master, with the soul power of the 3-flowered pupils of the green snake that far exceeds the same level, attack there shouldn't be any danger to the scattered bird souls. Then he turned his attention to the little medical fairy who was reading the 7 Colors Poison Sutra with a face full of joy, and couldn't help but let out a long sigh. What fate! After a while, the little medical fairy's expression suddenly became stiff, and the 7 Colors Poison Sutra fell from his hand. Click! It fell to the ground, and the sound echoed in the empty cave, breaking the tranquility. For a moment, a depressing atmosphere emanated from the little medical fairy. Even Ziyan, who had always been carefree, noticed something was wrong with the little medical fairy's expression. At this moment, Xiao Ling suddenly spoke. An An poison body, also known as innate poison body, is a very strange physique. People with this physique only need to keep taking poison to continuously become stronger. The stronger the poison, the stronger the poison. The strength increases faster, and there is almost no upper limit. However, the more poisons are taken, the more concentrated the toxins are in the body. When the toxins are condensed to a certain point, they will completely explode, destroying all life within 1,000 miles. The way to identify the body of Ernan poison is that there is a small 7-color hidden line in the lower abdomen. The 7-color line will grow according to the concentration of poison contained in the body. When the 7-color line extends to the heart, it is non-poison. The strongest moment of the body is also the time when the disaster poisonous body breaks out. According to my observation, little medical fairy, there is a tiny 7-colored hidden line in your lower abdomen, so your physique is the legendary disaster poisonous body. As Xiaoling narrated, the little medical fairy's body gradually became stiff, and the look in her eyes disappeared, her eyes gradually became moist, and a teardrop fell on the floor of the stone room. The little medical fairy's face was already full of tears, and she stretched out her palm to wipe the crystal tears. I just want to be an ordinary doctor. Why does God want to play such a big joke on me? The little medical fairy murmured to himself while choking. Suddenly, the little medical fairy seemed to have thought of something, and looked at Xiaoling with hopeful eyes. Aren't you a 6th-grade alchemist? You are so powerful, can you help me solve the side effects of the evil poisonous body? As long as if you can help me, I can agree to give it to you whatever you want me to do, even if it's my body. Seeing the little medical fairy looking on the verge of tears, Xiaoling felt a little uncomfortable and quickly comforted him. As far as I know, the side effects of the non-poison body can be solved. Now that the non-poison body has not awakened yet, it appears. The side effects will happen in the future, don't scare yourself by thinking too much about the bad situation. Chapter 100 Companions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Xiaoling say that there is a way to solve the side effects of Ernan's poisonous body, the little medical fairy's mood stabilized a little, and he couldn't wait to ask Xiaoling, what is the method? Can you tell me? Nodding, Xiaoling looked at the little medical fairy and spoke unhurriedly. I know of 2 methods that can solve the side effects of the poisonous body. The first one is the method of strange fire. As long as you can conquering the double flames of yin and yang, the 3,000 flames, and the flames of life, one of these 3 kinds of strange fires can give you strong vitality. Even if the side effects of the poison break out, you can still rely on the powerful recovery of the strange fires. There should be no problem in saving your life. There is also a kind of strange fire called the pure Lotus demon fire, which has the ability to purify all things. If anything is touched by it, it will be purified into nothingness. To conquer the pure Lotus demonic fire, you can first use the calamity poison body to improve your cultivation, and then when the toxins have accumulated to a certain amount, directly use the pure Lotus demonic fire to purify them. The most suitable strange fire for you is the netherworld poison fire. Flame the nether poison fire, which is full of poison, can definitely be said to be the most suitable fire for the non-poison body. The toxicity of the nether poison fire can promote the growth of the owner of the non-poison body, and the outbreak of the non-poison body is due to the concentration of toxins in the body. It will completely break out at a certain point, but the nether poison fire can just grow with the help of the toxins condensed by the non-poison body. Therefore, the nether poison fire and the non-poison body complement each other. The second method is the poison pill method, which accumulates toxins in the body. All condensed, and finally turned into a poisonous elixir in the body. If the poisonous elixir is completed, the non-poisonous body will become a truly terrifying physique without any restrictions. 3 things are needed to refine the poison elixir. 1 is 3 different kinds of strange fire. The second is the demonic core of the 7th level sky poison scorpion dragon beast, and the third is the saliva of the bodhisattva. After listening to the 2 methods Xiaoling said, the little medical fairy felt as if he was about to grow a brain. He had seen strange fires in books about alchemists before, but what kinds of strange fires were there? I don't know the effect at all. As for the poison pill method, it requires 3 different fires, let alone mentioning it. The 7th level magic core should be the equivalent of a human being in the Do zone. That one is called bodhisattva. I have never heard of it. Seeing the confusion on the little medical fairy's face, Xiaoling knew that she had never heard of these items. After all, the little medical fairy was just a doctor in Qingshan town. As for the various items Xiaoling mentioned, most of the Do Huang might not recognize them all. Hai Buidong, who had just resumed his Do Huang cultivation not long ago, definitely didn't recognize the Bodhi incarnate saliva, so Xiaoling was like a teacher teaching students and began to give the little Dr. Fairy popular science knowledge, explaining the materials just mentioned and their origins and effects in a simple and easy-to-understand way. After listening to Xiaoling's popular science, the little medical fairy felt a little speechless. After knowing the value of these items, she felt that she could not gather these materials at all. If you want to solve or resist the side effects of the evil poisonous body, you need at least one strange fire. Of the strange fires mentioned just now, the only one whose whereabouts are known is the Sanqianyan that was imprisoned in the Zhongzhou Danta. Let's not talk about whether Yanhua can reach the Dan Pagoda of Zhongzhou from this remote northwest continent. Even if he reaches the Dan Pagoda, he is not an alchemist and will not have the opportunity to conquer the 3,000 flames. As for snatching 3,000 Yanhua from the Dan Pagoda, this kind of plan is simply unthinkable. Xiaoling just said that there is Dousheng ancestor sitting in the Dan Pagoda. The side effects of Zun have come out. This level of strength is not enough for someone to hit with just one finger. Seeing the little medical fairy's lack of confidence, Xiaoling knew that it was time to start abducting the little medical fairy. Xiaoling walked up to the little medical fairy and stared at the pretty and haggard face. Although it is difficult to solve the side effects of the evil body, it is not impossible. As long as you stay with me, I will do my best to help you. Gather the materials needed. Now I have obtained 2 strange fires, and I also know the news about other strange fires. When I have enough strength, getting the 3rd strange fire will not be a big deal. It's a difficult thing, and I also know something about the forces that possess the Bodhi incarnate saliva. We only need to bring out treasures of sufficient value to trade the Bodhi incarnate saliva. As for the magic core of the 7th level Sky Poison Scorpion Dragon Beast, you can go to Zhongzhou, find the residence of the Sky Poison Scorpion Dragon Beast, kill a 7th level Sky Poison Scorpion Dragon Beast, and take away its magic core. In order to strengthen his persuasion, Xiaoling briefly released Qinglian's inner fire for a while, then took it back into the system space, and then spread his palms to summon the Golden Emperor's burning sky flame in his body. The little medical fairy who originally felt that there was no hope in his life, after listening to Xiaoling's narration and seeing Xiaoling summoning 2 strange fires with his own eyes, he felt inexplicably that as long as you follow Xiaoling, you can solve the evil poison. Physical side effects illusion. After a moment's hesitation, the little medical fairy asked, since you are willing to help me solve the side effects of our non-poison body, what do I need to do for you? I promised you before that as long as you can help me solve the side effects of our non-poison body, I will promise you anything, do you think? At this point, the ears of the little medical fairy were already a little red. Only then did she recall that she was so excited just now that she said something unintelligible. This Xiaoling, could he really be that kind of lecherous person? Xiaoling waved her hand quickly, don't get me wrong. I'm not the kind of person who can't walk when he sees a beautiful woman. I want to help you mainly because I'm attracted by your troubles. The terrifying cultivation talent of the poison body, if the poison pill can be successfully condensed, the non-poison body will become a truly terrifying physique without any restrictions, and it will not be difficult to become a Dousheng. There is no separation between medicine and poison. Those medicinal materials have both medicinal properties and toxicity. Unless you don't touch the medicinal materials in the future, if you take just a little bit by mistake, your poison will be activated. As long as the poison is activated, the poison will become more poisonous. The greater the temptation to you, it is comparable to the attraction of strange fire to an alchemist. Now that you have no other place to go, you might as well follow me and look for the materials needed for the poison elixir method, and take a look at it. The vast world outside Qingshan town. Xiaoling looked at the little medical fairy and said in a serious tone, after the little medical fairy hesitated for a while, he looked at Xiaoling and said, I am willing to stay with you. Although he only wanted to be an ordinary doctor in Qingshan town, in order to be able to solve the side effects of the Yan'an poison body, he could only follow Xiaoling and look for those materials. After getting the answer he wanted, Xiaoling breathed a sigh of relief. Compared to the sky poison girl who would be all-powerful in the future, Xiaoling still liked the innocent and kind-hearted little medical fairy now more. wanting to protect the girl's pure heart may be due to his own damned desire to protect. Since you have agreed to my proposal, we will be companions from now on. But I still have to agree with you in advance that after you stay with me, you have to follow my arrangements. Xiao Ling looked at the little medical fairy and smiled. Said, hearing this, the little medical fairy nodded. For such a request, the little medical fairy felt that it was quite reasonable. You can't just take someone else's benefits and do nothing. After taking a look at the little medical fairy's bulging backpack, Xiao Ling fumbled around and took out a Nai ring. Xiao Ling handed it to the little medical fairy and pointed to the backpack on his body. It seems that you don't have a storage ring on you yet, so let's use this one to make a transition, and wait for us to arrive in Canada together. After Matadou, I will buy you another one with better quality. In this ring, there are also some pills and medicinal liquids that can increase the speed of Do Qi cultivation. Although I want to take you away because you have the disaster poison body, I will not force you to do anything inappropriate. What you like, if you don't want to activate the poisonous body for the time being, use these pills to practice. And now in the Jiama Empire, no one can pose a threat to me. You don't need to absorb the poison. Quickly to improve your cultivation, with the help of these elixirs, it won't take long to become a fighter even if you don't activate the poison body. Stretching out a slender hand and holding the Na ring that Xiao Ling handed in front of him, the little medical fairy said somewhat unnaturally, "Thank you." After putting the Na ring on his finger, Xiao Ling began to teach the little medical fairy how to use the Na ring to collect items. After a while, the backpack on the little medical fairy's body, as well as the gold and silver treasures in the stone room, were all put into the ring given to her by Xiao Lingang. After the little medical fairy put all the valuable items in the stone room into the Neji, Xiao Ling looked at the little medical fairy and asked curiously, "Little medical fairy, in the 10,000 medicine palace, is there anything I need to take away?" The little medical fairy nodded first, then shook his head. "I don't have anything to take away, but after all, it was Mr. Yao from Wanyazhai who took me in. Now I have to leave Wanyazhai, or you have to talk to him. In this case, it is necessary for me to meet this Mr. Yao. Without further ado, let's set off now." After saying that, Xiao Ling took steps and walked towards the outside of the cave. Qinglin and Xian also following on the left and right. One of them held one of Xiao Ling's palms. Although I don't know what Mr. Yao from Wanyazhai had in mind for taking in the little medical fairy, he was able to help the little medical fairy when he needed help. Now Mr. Yao has not done anything detrimental to the little medical fairy. This kind of kindness needs to be repaid. Seeing that the three of them were preparing to leave, the little medical fairy also followed Xiao Ling and the others with light steps. After chatting in the cave passage for a while, the four of them arrived at the entrance of the cave. Opening his arms to the little medical fairy, Xiao Ling looked at the little medical fairy with a confused look. "You are a little taller than Ziyan. It is not very convenient for Ziyan to fly with you, so this time when you return to Qingshan town, let me take you flying." Turning his head and glancing at Ziyan and Qinglin who had already flown away, the little medical fairy was speechless. "You didn't leave me a chance to choose." Suddenly, an idea flashed in the little medical fairy's mind, and he turned his eyes, but did not walk in the direction of Xiao Ling. Under Xiao Ling's somewhat puzzled gaze, the little medical fairy stood on the edge of the cliff and whistled several times toward the outside of the valley. After a while, a first-order blue eagle flew in front of the little medical fairy and rubbed the little medical fairy's cheek intimately. Turning around, he smiled proudly at Xiao Ling. "This is my friend, his name is Xiaolan. I met him when I went out to collect medicine. At that time, he was injured and was very wary of me. Later I healed his injuries and we became good friends." After stroking the blue eagle's head, Xiao Yixian turned over and sat on its back, waving to Xiao Ling, "Xiao Lan, take me back to Qingshan town." As soon as the voice fell, the blue eagle flapped its wings, blowing up a wave of wind and flew towards Qingshan town. Seeing this scene, Xiao Ling shook his head helplessly. He really didn't have any other crooked thoughts. He simply felt that it was a bit inappropriate to let Ziyan hold Xiao Yixian, who was taller than him. Immediately, a pair of golden fighting wings were spread out, turning into a stream of light, following the blue eagle. Qingshan town, in front of Wanyazhai, as Xiao Ling led the three women into the store, the crowd around them made way for them and dared not get close. When the four people walked into Wanya's high, the empty space was filled. Passers-by looked at the figures of Xiaoling and his companions, and cast awe eyes. Among the four people just now, there are two strong men who have reached the Douwang level. In this small Qingshan town, the strongest person is only at the Doushi level. In front of these big men, they are just ants. It seems that Xiao Yixian has really been favored by the big men. Someone in the crowd whispered. If I had a beautiful face like Xiao Yixian, maybe I could be favored by these big men and taken away. A woman with a little beauty said, as Xiaoling and the other four walked into Wanya's high. A middle-aged man in black and white robes came to Xiaoling. He bowed deeply to the four people, glanced at Xiao Yixian casually, and asked Xiaoling, Your Excellency's presence has brought honor to our shop. If you like anything, you can take it. Glancing at Mr. Yao, Xiaoling took out a porcelain bottle from his ring and placed it on the counter. I will take Xiao Yixian away. There are 3 second-grade pills in it. This is your reward for taking care of Xiao Yixian for so many years. From now on, Xiao Yixian will have nothing to do with your Wanya's high. It's not that Xiaoling was reluctant to take out more things, but he was afraid that Mr. Yao would get into unnecessary trouble if he took more valuable items. Mr. Yao was also a sensible person. He knew that Wanya's high could not keep Xiao Yixian, so he put the pills into his ring. Let's go, the next destination is GeniusProtagonist.